Welcome to 12K Therapy. Fate is one of our top masterpieces, alongside powerhouses such as Madoka Magica, Monogatari, and obscure, esoteric reads like The Lore of Hidden Gem. As much as the Fate series has been discussed, we believe there are deeper and darker theories that most of your friends have not yet discovered. The following discussion is highly speculative, academically theoretical. Full disclaimer, we are not here to put words in the mouths of the creative team behind Fate. As many of you watching this are artists and creative individuals, you will understand what it feels like when you're asked in public about a piece of art you've poured your heart and soul into. Oftentimes, a question hits you, not even a stressful interview nor publicity event, and the atmosphere isn't perfect for disclosing the entire depth of your creative thoughts. So what are the underlying secrets? Spoilers ahead for Fate Zero, UBW, and the Heaven's Feel trilogy. Trigger warning for SA, and let's make theories about Sakura Matou. Part 1. Who's the monster? A young girl who is routinely sexually assaulted. After years of abuse, her mental health suffers. Without her full consciousness and knowledge, she commits many crimes. The question seems to be, should victims be held responsible for their vengeful violence? But the bigger question is this: who converts victims into monsters? Clearly, Sakura has never committed a single crime when she has full consciousness. Instead, she is the exact opposite, quietly obeying everything and everyone. The question, or what created the monster in Fate Heaven's Feel? First, Zoken, the head man of her family and her sexual assaulter. Second, inactivity. Throughout a decade of abuse, no one stepped in to help Sakura successfully. One attempt was made, and he passed away for trying. So who was it really that created this monster? For enabling and allowing the monster to be birthed, the answer is everyone. The film trilogy hides several key details which give credibility to this theory. We'll discuss Easter eggs slowly, as we believe these mysterious coincidences will float to the surface as we dive deeper. Part 2. Theory. Manjimatsunase. This is the theory stating that the greatest threat to all of us is not something humans do, but the things that humans do not. True, there are many criminals and evildoers in human history. But in all these atrocities, millions have allowed suffering to happen by doing nothing about it. Manjimatsunase, as a theory, also points out a fatal human flaw. Humans are very good at seeing and recognizing actions, but we rarely ever see nor recognize inaction. This allows inactivity to be a silent, invisibilized threat that continues to create suffering for humanity without us even noticing. Ironically, when we try to confront people who have done nothing to help a victim or stop terrible abuse, they can easily get away with the following reasoning: I didn't do anything though. Part 3. Zoken is everybody. Can everyone be responsible for the crimes committed in Fate Heaven's Feel? First, it's undeniable that Zoken is the greatest villain and the daily sexual abuser of Sakura. Unfortunately, it's also undeniable that every one of us share the same strategy as Zoken. Sakura was devastated by two things. First, he sexually assaults Sakura. Second, he remains inactive and allows Sakura to be simultaneously sexually assaulted by his grandson, another abuser. Zoken knows what Shinji is doing to Sakura, and he strategically chooses inactivity to break Sakura's mind. We all know that through various adaptations, multiple versions of the Fate HF line exist. But here's one version of the villain Zoken. He did not ask his grandson to sexually abuse Sakura. He did not stop it either. Now, isn't that all of us? Part 4. Sakura's forgotten identity. A portion of human beings, when discovering this, would feel sorry for Sakura because we have never helped a sexual abuse victim in our own lives either. These people recognize that sexual abuse victims actually do exist in society, but their abuse happens while we live our everyday lives. We rarely ever stop abuse, just like Zoken did not stop anything. Other human beings, when hearing this, would argue, but none of us knew. The question fate asks instead is this. Have we, then, ever made an effort to know? Have you ever wondered why Sakura shows up at Emiya's door, just to cook and clean for the main character? Sakura's entire identity before she turned into a monster answers our question. Does everyone still need to be held responsible for not stopping abuse if we never found out? The true identity of Sakura is a spy or intelligence agent. Her entire purpose was to monitor and collect information on Emiya, as ordered by Zoken. In other words, for Zoken to extend his lifespan, he would commit his most valuable resource, Sakura as the Matou family mage and his personal lesser holy grail, to collect information and no more. Now the question becomes this. In order to stop suffering and abuse, what valuable resource have we ever committed towards discovering hidden victims and knowing more? Is it pure coincidence that Sakura was sent as a spy to monitor the every move of Emiya? Is it also coincidence that Zoken's first conversation with our hero is about collecting intel? To know more info about gaining immortality, Zoken commits most valuable resource. To know more info about helping victims, does anyone commit any resources? To assume that intel in a war is given for free is naive. Even more naive is the assumption that abusers and criminals will deliver to you on a daily basis the people they're about to hurt. Not knowing is not a crime. But how much inactivity have we employed in order to stay not knowing? Part 5. A colony of worms. Some human beings would feel motivated by fate heaven's feel to make more efforts so that they can discover hidden victims in our midst. Other humans would say, but this particular victim is not in my family, nor my school, nor my city, nor my country, so why should I care exactly? Fate also has an answer. We cannot let family, school, city, nor country become boundaries or limits to confine our goodwill. If so, we are basically declaring to abusers, you can do whatever you want, as long as we set up enough social structures that separate me from your evil. Human beings are prone to creating systems and structures, which can be exploited to create distance and justify irresponsibility. The logic which forces Sakura to become a monster goes like this. If a victim is far enough from my daily life due to systems and structures, as it will then take more effort to know people who need help, in turn, the effort would begin to exceed social expectations. Systems, structures, and social contracts created by human beings should not be used to justify inaction, because this is how monsters are birthed. In fact, systems and structures of both family and Japanese culture are things that cause Emiya to treat our villain with utmost respect instead of suspicion. Very few people would disagree that Zoken is at least one of the two primary villains in Fate Heaven's Feel. Is it a coincidence then, that Zoken is depicted as a system, a structure, or a social colony of insects? Upon deeper inspection, these insects are nameless. These insects are numerous. These insects fly away immediately when threatened with responsibility. Everybody can be an insect, if they choose to be. If the insects indeed represent everybody on a metaphoric level, is it also coincidence that the insects enable the power of the villain Zoken, that his entire household lineage builds upon worm magic? And, is it another coincidence that the insects are known to participate in the act of sexual assault, to further clarify that they are indeed part of the abuse? Part of the problem? Part 6. Calling for help. Some human beings would refuse to just be an insect. They don't want to feed into the power of Zoken. Nor would they want to share in any part of Zoken's identity. Some would even make such an effort that they pay a severe price to fight Zoken, specifically, Korea, who deserves his own theory video. Other human beings would say, instead of me putting in effort to know, it's Sakura's fault for not telling people about the abuse. At first glance, this seems reasonable, but this logic falls apart when you speak to any victim in real life. Sometimes, Stockholm Syndrome is the only way to make the abuser less abusive. Other times, keeping silent helps cope with the fact that no one is here to help you, so that you don't lose hope in all of humanity. Sometimes the abusers control all your survival resources, food, water, and the situation easily becomes obey or become homeless. For Sakura, she believes her family member as her abuser has some salvation. She understands that Shinji would not have been an abuser if Shinji was not crushed by the weight of family expectations for him to be talented. And for years, Sakura does not seek help because she thinks he is worth saving. Tragically, everybody has a role to play again in why victims don't speak out. Think about trauma dumping. Trigger warnings. We've set up a lot of laws that all victims must follow. Though Fate Heaven's Feel is not as sophisticated in this domain of discussion, Fate nonetheless makes several key points. First, seeking help for serious abuse is a life-changing moment. Second, seeking help often involves revealing to others that you've been made less human. Third, ask yourself, are you ready for rejection? Can you mentally handle the fact that someone would know, but then deliberately choose not to help you? Can you continue a friendship with someone who would rather watch you? Or, can you even afford to lose a single friend at that point? How do you keep a relationship with this person you've trusted moving forward? Dedicating a specific scene to Sakura's confession to Emiya shows that Fate recognizes the serious, emotional weight attached to letting people know. Logic that expects victims to let people know create monsters. This logic tells abusers, do not commit minor abuse that can easily be communicated. Rather, do hideous, unspeakable, taboo things. So then your victims cannot tell others easily. Is it a coincidence that Fate Heaven's Feel involves sexual abuse that is severely taboo? Is it another coincidence that Shinji is depicted as wanting his actions to be unspeakably hideous and obscene? Everybody can adopt a logic that not only enables, but encourages abusers to do worse. Everybody can be part of Zoken's monstrosity. Part 7. Stopping it at the root. Hopefully, most would agree that Sakura should be stopped as early as possible. Her violence should be stopped before she semi-consciously attacks her first victim as opposed to her 100th. This is the chain of events presented by Fate. First, an abuser's action is enabled by everybody's inaction. Second, neglect from society creates victims' mental instability. Third, victim harms the first person around them. Then, victim continues to harm and is treated by society as a monster. Fate begs the question, if heroes are going to stop Sakura the monster and call her downfall justice, why didn't society stop the chain earlier? Solving problems and eliminating suffering at the root, coincidentally, is the entire point of the Fate series. The Holy Grail War was created to power a device specifically designed to reach the root. If reaching the root is the point of the Fate series, how easy it is to forget the original purpose of the Holy Grail and thus corrupt its purpose is Fate's ultimate thesis. Could we say that the servants, masters, and not the viewers are the only ones who forgot the purpose of the Holy Grail? This unique phenomenon that breaks the fourth wall, however, deserves another deep dive along with Angra Mainyu, the hidden eighth servant class known as Avenger. If we forgot the Holy Grail's purpose of stopping evil at the root, Fate's characters have tried to remind us. Throughout the entire series, they've asked, what is justice and heroism? True justice would stop it at step 1. This form of justice not only saves every single one of Sakura's victims, but also saves Sakura, the 5-year-old assault victim. The ultimate question of Fate Heaven's Feel is this: why don't we stop it at us? We are the root we have been searching for. As we have already reached our own roots, how often have we fought our own inaction and neglect? Manjametsunase already warns that inaction is a silent killer. It is often much easier to kill a monster after they've harmed others than eliminating our own inaction at step 1. Are we then not waiting for monsters to be birthed? Are we not saying to the victims all around us, I will pay attention to you, but only after you've become a monster? Maybe threaten my daily life. Everyone can encourage the birth of monsters in order to appear to be justice when they take those monsters down. Are we saying that we can only become justice after we've enabled the formation of monsters? Part 8. Stone Cold Medusa. Inaction that everyone contributes to is what causes human suffering. We dare say that this is the entire purpose of writing Sakura's character, from her taboo form of abuse, to her status as a spy for Intel, to her servant being Medusa the Rider. Some may notice that Medusa in Fate Heaven's Feel is missing her key mythological feature, snake-like hair. We argue it is no coincidence that Sakura and Medusa have merged, and that the key feature the two intertwined characters share is petrification. When you see Sakura, the true her, all of her, will you be petrified of what has happened to her? For her entire life, everyone she has ever seen has been completely controlled by inaction. Will you be the one exception to take action and save her? Part 9, More Sakuras. Petrification and inactivity is core to Sakura's character design. This is Sakura's story. Inaction and petrification of society around Sakura has allowed her abuser to torture her for 10 years. After she begins to do a fraction of the crimes her abuser commits, society labels her as a monster. While society feels good about killing Sakura, society does not feel good when being told to stop one of the root causes, their own petrified inactivity. It's safe to say that the vast majority of viewers have not understood the character design of Sakura. She is doomed to be unpopular. Her story presents a solution to make our world better, but it tells us to overcome our everyday inactivity. Sakura reminds us of a host of other female characters we love here at 12K Therapy, such as Sayaka in Madoka Magica, Hanakawa in Monogatari, Fujino Asagami in Garden of Sinners, whom we believe is based on a real high school crime case in Japan and is also the first, unresolved prototype for Sakura in Fate. And lastly, Naive from the Law of Hidden Gem, who is based on the same high school crime case. The message of their stories are the same: the greatest thing that will destroy humanity is inactivity. In the words of Naive, this act of not doing, this act of not caring, this stillness that we do not notice or see. It is a strong stillness. A destructive stillness that obliterates all in its dark path. With this secret theory on inactivity, other Fate characters fall into place. How did Gilgamesh die in an instant? Why does Kirei partner with Emiya, really? Was there a way to save Ilya? What caused Kiritsugu to accidentally destroy the whole city in Fate Zero? But these are stories for another midnight. More importantly, how do we actually fight our own inaction? If a young child is going through Sakura's pain right now in my city, how can we help? These questions may take a lifetime to answer.